Haven't seen him for a whole month. After her husband knelt down, begging for her forgiveness, the CEO, who's been with his first love this whole time, his wife finally sensed something was off. She asked her assistant, I signed the divorce papers on purpose, to make him see he's totally replaceable. Didn't he throw a fit about it? But the assistant was totally confused. Mr. Gu, the CEO, divorced you 2 months ago. Did you not know that? Only then did Su Mengyao remember that 3 months ago, when he pressured me for a divorce for the 99th time for his first love. I signed it with a smile, but Su Mengyao looked totally disdainful. She thought I was faking the signature to annoy him like I used to. She went back to her room like she didn't care at all, and stayed caught up in the Cold War. What's even worse, he wanted to piss me off so bad that he moved into his first love's place with our daughter. But I wasn't angry at all. Instead, I took the divorce agreement to the Civil Affairs Bureau. Mr. Gu, this divorce agreement is valid. Once you sign it, your marriage will be automatically dissolved after a month. I sat at my computer consulting legal aid services. After I got the answer I wanted, I said thank you and logged off. I limped to open the door. A stack of photos fell from above the door frame. The sharp edges cut my cheek. I stared blankly at the family portrait in the photo. My wife, Su Mengyao, was smiling brightly, with a softness I'd never seen before we got married. Yaya, the daughter I'd raised for 5 years, looked like she was overflowing with joy. The funny thing is, this so-called family portrait, the man in the middle isn't me, it's Su Mengyao's first love, Song Yichen. This is obviously Yaya's prank. Ever since Song Yichen came back to the country half a year ago, I felt totally unnecessary in this family. Today's my birthday, and also our 5th wedding anniversary. Su Mengyao picked a random fight to get mad, told me to stay home and reflect on my mistakes, then took our daughter and left. I saw them on Song Yichen's WeChat moments. The 3 of them went to an amusement park. The family of 3 was having a great time. In the photo, the germaphobe Su Mengyao was kneeling, on the ground, fixing Song Yichen's pant cuffs. It felt like a sharp sword stabbing right through my heart. My heart hurt so bad I couldn't breathe, thinking about how I gave everything for this family, only to pave the way for someone else in the end. I was filled with endless sadness. I sat at the table, watching the candles on the birthday cake burn out slowly. The world in front of me went completely dark. I don't know how much time passed. The living room light suddenly turned on. Su Mengyao and her daughter walked in the door. When they saw me, a flash of disgust crossed her eyes. Su Mengyao threw the gift box in her hand at me, looking totally impatient. Who told you to cook with lard? You know I eat light food. Don't do it again. This is your birthday gift. Then she held her head up high, waiting for me to thank her. I glanced at the gift box and smiled bitterly inside. The so-called gift was just a free promotional watch. The truly expensive one was the one Song Yichen showed off on WeChat moments, a Patek Philippe XL model. Su Mengyao saw I didn't move. Her face darkened and she snapped. I work my ass off out there to support this family. It's bad enough you can't help at all, but you're also giving me attitude. I never should have married a loser like you. You're sleeping in the storage room tonight, until you admit you were wrong, and don't beg me for forgiveness otherwise. Then she stormed angrily into the bedroom. Yaya giggled, poured the cake over my head and said proudly, I went to the amusement park with Uncle Song today, and had so much fun. You're just my nanny who waits on me. Hurry up and divorce my mom and get out. I looked at the daughter I'd doted on. So much I'd freak out if she even scraped her knee, showing her disgust for me with no hesitation. I couldn't help but feel a chill run down my spine. Sure enough, a wild wolf cub will never be tamed. Yaya wasn't like this before. How would a 5-year-old kid know this stuff on her own? Ever since Song Yichen came back half a year ago, he's been secretly teaching Yaya how to torment me. But what really broke my heart was Su Mengyao's reaction. She knew exactly how much I'd given to this family, but just let our daughter talk nonsense like that. Yaya saw I didn't react and sneered. Uncle Song said you really are a loser. You don't even get mad, you deserve this. Then she skipped happily back to the bedroom. The living room went quiet again. I didn't say a single word the whole time. There's no point in hoping for anything from this heartless mother and daughter. I stood up slowly and limped to the small storage room by the stairs. It's the only place I have freedom in this house, because it's so dirty. The mother and daughter won't come in here. I tossed the gift Su Mengyao gave me into the trash can. Then I pulled a document out of the drawer. Last week, Su Mengyao and I had a huge fight over Song Yichen. Su Mengyao threw a divorce agreement right in my face on the spot. She's totally convinced I can't live without her. That's why she keeps using all kinds of tricks. To humiliate me, even Yaya plays along. Now I finally get it. A stone you can never warm up is just garbage, and an ungrateful person is just an ingrate. I picked up the pen and signed the agreement. In one smooth go. My wife, my daughter, this whole family. I don't want any of it anymore. The obsession that's weighed on me for 7 years just vanished. I felt so much lighter all over. I used to lose sleep over worrying about every little thing. But right now I'm super sleepy. But just as I was about to fall asleep, a hand landed on my waist, stroking it gently. I opened my eyes and saw Su Mengyao's lust-filled eyes. I knew what she wanted. I was always the one making the first move before, and Su Mengyao would just impatiently go along with it. But now facing Su Mengyao's first ever advance, I felt completely calm inside. My body didn't react at all. This woman in front of me felt like a block of ice. Su Mengyao frowned and asked, annoyed, "What's wrong?" I moved her hand away and closed my eyes again. Su Mengyao was trembling with rage. Feeling insulted, she snapped angrily, "Are you still mad about what happened earlier? I already explained it. Yichin and I are over. Why are you still hung up on it?" The only response she got was my steady breathing. In the dim warehouse, Su Mengyao's eyes were burning with anger. She gritted her teeth and said, "Don't push your luck. Don't come begging me next time." With the loud slam of the door, I didn't pay any attention. I didn't act like I used to. Where if Su Mengyao was even a little upset, I'd panic and run to please her, even kneel and beg her. Now that I've let go of that obsession, her mood doesn't affect me at all anymore. I slept like a log that night. It was the first good night's sleep I've had in 7 years. Early the next morning, I didn't make breakfast for the mother and daughter right after waking up. Instead, I made myself a cup of tea, enjoying my own free time. I checked my phone, hoping the next 29 days would go by pleasantly. No more being sad over those two. No more crying over them either. Song Yichin just posted a new WeChat moment. "Never forget for even a night. There will always be a response. Whenever I need him, he always shows up right on time. Thank God for this gift." The attached photo was a tall figure making kanji in the kitchen from behind, with a heart sticker edited on it on purpose. I recognized immediately that the woman making kanji was Su Mengyao. She was wearing pajamas, and the red mole on her left wrist was visible ever since we got married. Su Mengyao has had severe OCD about cleanliness. She never goes near the kitchen and has never cooked me a single meal. But now she's making kanji for her first love. Her skilled movements looked so peaceful, it was almost shocking. I felt completely calm inside. I glanced over it quickly, then locked my phone screen. Whether Su Mengyao did this on purpose to get revenge for me turning her down last night, or she's just dying to get with her first love, I don't care anymore. "Where's my breakfast?" An annoyed voice came from behind me. Yaya walked out of the bedroom and saw there was none of the usual fancy breakfast on the table. Her little face was twisted with anger. She yelled at me, "I'm hungry, go make it now." I turned around and stared back at her coldly. I could clearly feel that this 5-year-old kid had the same arrogant attitude as her mother. They've always treated me like the family maid. I pointed at the fridge and said calmly, "Get it yourself." Yaya froze. She'd never seen me act so cold before. She stood there not knowing what to do. But she quickly remembered our roles and snapped angrily, "You're my maid. If you don't cook for me, I'll tell my mom to punish you." I looked at Yaya calmly. Little ingrates can never be tamed after all. The more I give in, the more they push me around. Good thing I already gave up on her a long time ago. If you want to eat, go find your Uncle Song. My good mood was ruined. I didn't bother paying attention to her yelling. I went to the room to pack my things. I'm throwing away everything that belongs to me to make space for Song Yichin. Su Mengyao barely gave me any gifts all these years, but even those cheap little trinkets, I used to treasure them like precious gems. Too bad all this stuff only makes me feel sick now. I sorted out a whole bag of those gifts and walked out of the villa. I ran right into Su Mengyao, who'd been out all night. Su Mengyao froze. Awkwardness and guilt flashed across her eyes and wanted to say something to explain. I ignored her completely and walked straight towards the trash can. Su Mengyao frowned and said unhappily, "Yichin had a depressive episode last night." I went over to comfort him. "Don't overthink it, since I'm honest enough to admit it. I have a clear conscience, so I didn't overthink anything. I didn't want to hear Su Mengyao's fake excuses, and threw the whole bag into the trash can. I threw it so hard that a plush doll fell out of the bag." Su Mengyao recognized where the doll came from, and her face instantly fell. She said in disbelief, "What do you mean by that?" For some reason, my silence made her feel a weird, unexplainable sense of panic. I kept a straight face and smiled. "The stuff got moldy. It'll grow bacteria if we leave it in the villa. It's bad for health. So I threw it away." Su Mengyao looked confused, but didn't overthink it. Nodded and walked into the house. I waited outside the door the whole time, until the garbage truck took all those gifts away. Only when I was sure they couldn't be retrieved did I turn around. I went back into the villa. Su Mengyao took a box of kanji out of her bag, dropped it casually on the table and said, "I overreacted a bit yesterday, but you shouldn't have given Yichin a hard time. I cooked this kanji for you myself. Go apologize to Yichin after you finish it." Su Mengyao never does any housework at all. She thought I'd definitely be super grateful this time. I just stared at the cold kanji and laughed at myself in my head. How worthless must I be to let Su Mengyao trample on my dignity like this? This was just leftover food that Song Yichin didn't finish. Su Mengyao brought it to me as a reward. I looked at it calmly and didn't react at all. Su Mengyao got impatient and said angrily, "What the hell do you want? I've already given you a way out. Don't be so ungrateful. I'm already sick and tired of working outside all day, and you're making trouble at home. Can you be more mature?" I said calmly. "I'm allergic to seafood." Su Mengyao froze. She finally remembered. A flash of embarrassment crossed her face. But when she saw my annoyed face, she got furious all of a sudden. "It's just a seafood allergy. It's not going to kill you. Why are you being so picky?" Seeing that I kept defying her and didn't know when to back off, she immediately flew into a rage, grabbed the kanji and tried to force it down my throat. I didn't expect her to be that crazy. I still swallowed a lot before I could dodge. I immediately threw up on the floor. My seafood allergy is level 5. Even a tiny bit can cause a bad reaction. I couldn't breathe at all by then. I was lying on the floor in extreme pain. Blisters grew in my throat, and red rashes popped up all over my skin. Su Mengyao said disdainfully, "Are you playing the victim now? You're playing mind games with me every single day. Do you think you're a handsome guy like Yichin? You're just a useless old cripple right now. Take the out I'm giving you right now. If I kick you out of the house later, even if you beg me on your knees, it won't work. Mommy, let's get Uncle Song to get back at him." Yaya came up and kicked me and laughed happily. "You stay home and reflect on what you did wrong. If you pull this crap again, don't blame me for being cruel to you." Su Mengyao left with her daughter, without even glancing at me. The villa went dead quiet. The roar of the engine outside sounded like a death knell. I started suffocating. I used the last of my strength to finally make a call. I held on for more than 10 minutes before passing out. When I woke up, I was in a hospital ward, smelling the strong smell of disinfectant. I knew I'd survived, thinking about how Su Mengyao left heartlessly, leaving me on the floor to die. Even though I'd already given up on her and Yaya, I still felt so hurt I could barely breathe. Luckily, only 28 more days to go, and I'll be completely free, go somewhere far away from that vicious mother and daughter pair, face the ocean, with blooming flowers in warm spring, and live a happy life. I stayed in the hospital for 3 days. Su Mengyao didn't call me even once. I wasn't upset at all. Instead, I enjoyed the peace and quiet. No need to wait on that heartless mother and daughter, or see that disgusting scene of the so-called happy family of 3. It's actually pretty great. When the doctor told me I could be discharged, I was really reluctant to leave. If I could stay another 20-something days, I could leave this city right after getting discharged. When I got home, I found the villa completely empty. The spilled milk on the floor had gone moldy. The whole air reeked of bad odor. The leftover bloodstains had turned black. It was horrifying to look at. It suddenly hit me Su Mengyao took our daughter to stay with her first love. They haven't been back for days. No wonder she didn't contact me these days. She's deliberately giving me the silent treatment. Every time I don't do what she says, she disappears for a few days, waiting for me to kneel down and beg for forgiveness. I thought of when she force-fed me seafood kanji. That ferocious look on her face is still fresh in my memory. I couldn't help but wonder how a person could be so disgusting. Song Yichin updated his WeChat moments again. He posted a photo. The 3 of them walking by the sea, big hands holding small ones. If this was before, I would have gone crazy with jealousy, but right now I feel absolutely nothing. Those 3 are perfect for each other. They should stay together forever after I leave. Don't go ruin other people's lives. I just locked my phone when I received a voice recording. "Yaya, you came to the seaside with me to relax. Will your dad get angry if he finds out?" It was Song Yuchin's voice. He was speaking with a smug smile in his tone. "He's nothing but an ugly babysitter. He has no right to control me. All my kindergarten classmates' dads are tall and handsome. My dad is a cripple. I'm so embarrassed by him." Yaya said angrily, her voice full of hatred. Song Yichin asked again, "So do you like me more or your dad?" Yaya answered excitedly, "Of course I like Uncle Song more. I hope Dad gets a divorce soon. And get out of this house. Then Uncle Song can be with Mom. Mom actually likes you a lot. I like you too, Uncle Song." can you be my new dad? Song Yuchen pretended to be hesitant. That wouldn't be right, would it? If your dad hears this, he'll be heartbroken. Yaya sneered. Good, he deserves to die. He broke his leg saving me. I wish he had been crushed to death back then. Even though I was already disappointed in my daughter, hearing her say such vicious words, I couldn't help shivering all over. It was clearly the voice of an innocent child. How could she be so cold and heartless? Song Yuchen sent another voice message. Ming Yao and your daughter both care about me, not you. How do you still have the nerve to stay here? Get lost right now. My heart was already broken long ago, so I didn't care about Song Yuchen's provocation at all. I didn't go hysterical like he expected, or be so miserable that I wanted to die. I expressionlessly packed up the gift I prepared for Yaya and threw it straight into the trash can. The wife who almost killed me doesn't care if I live or die. She went to Sanya with her first love to relax. The daughter I've taken care of for 5 years wants a new dad so bad that she wishes I would die. I glanced at my broken left leg and laughed at myself. This is probably the worst punishment God gives to simps. I glanced at the date. There are 20 more days until I'm free. In these 20 days, I need to treat myself well. I visited most of the scenic spots in the city, boated on the 100-mile Liujiang River, visited the Liuho Temple, and even went to Yunding Mountain to watch the sunrise.
Standing on the ferry sailing on the Liujiang River,
taking in the beautiful natural scenery, I suddenly realized my past life wasn't living at all. I was just treated like a slave. I couldn't even control my own schedule, life or death. When I got back from Yunding Mountain, I specially picked the most expensive restaurant by the lake. All these years of marriage, Su Mengyao thought I was an embarrassment as a cripple, that I couldn't be shown in public. She never took me out anywhere. When I helped Su Mengyao rebuild her career, I saved up a lot of money myself. I also own 5% of the company's shares. I picked the window seat with the best view, enjoying the lake view, tasting the delicious food. I sighed, this is what real life feels like. It's just a shame that this wonderful feeling. When I caught sight of the 3 people walking in, that good vibe vanished instantly. As soon as Su Mingyao's trio appeared, they immediately caught the eye of most customers. They looked totally perfect together, handsome man and talented woman, and there was an adorable pretty little kid between them. Maybe they frequent fancy restaurants a lot, so they knew quite a few people here. It didn't take long for them to sit together at one table. Wow, President Su, your husband is so handsome. You never bring him out in public. Scared someone will have eyes for him, huh? A friend joked around. Su Mengyao blushed slightly and sneaked a glance at Song Yichen. She didn't deny the joke. Song Yichen took the initiative to chat with everyone. He was very well spoken. Coupled with his handsome appearance, he gained even more favor from everyone. Plus Yaya was right there playing along, calling him dad over and over again, which solidified that they were a family of 3. Su Mengyao was so caught up in everyone's compliments that she didn't notice me sitting not far away. I watched the scene in front of me calmly. I didn't feel any emotional fluctuation at all, swirling the wine glass in my hand gently. They came back from Sanya. Looks like they had a pretty good time. I originally wanted to get up and leave, but that would seem like I did it on purpose, like I was the other man in this situation. So I just sat there enjoying the outside scenery. When Song Yichen finished socializing, he suddenly spotted me. His eyes lit up instantly. He leaned close to Su Mengyao's ear and said, "Thanks for your hard work these days. I really don't know what I'd do without you," Su Mengyao said hurriedly. "Yichen, don't say that. We don't need to be so formal with each other, okay?" Song Yichen deliberately moved closer to her, their faces almost touching each other, putting on a very affectionate look. Su Mengyao's heart started racing fast. She lowered her head and stared at her wine glass. Cheers erupted around them. Their group of friends started teasing them. "Kiss! Kiss!" Yaya clapped her little hands. "Kiss him, mommy." "Ah." Su Mengyao gave Song Yichen a coquettish glare, as if she was blaming him for this. Her hesitant look made Song Yichen's heart flutter. Plus, I was watching him from not far away. He found this super exciting. He directly pressed his lips on Su Mengyao's, kissing her recklessly. Su Mengyao's eyes widened. She resisted a little at first, trying to push him away. But as Song Yichen's warm breath surrounded her, she gradually got lost in the moment. Cheers rang out throughout the restaurant. Everyone clapped for this couple showing off their love. Only I stayed sitting in my seat, watching their act coldly, feeling no ripple in my heart at all. Su Mengyao's eyes were misty, hugging Song Yichen tightly, her face glowing with happiness. I had never seen her look so soft and affectionate before. It turns out Su Mengyao isn't always cold and aloof. It just depends on who she's with. She was always an arrogant queen in front of me, but as gentle as water in front of Song Yichen. Looking at how affectionate they are, they must be getting engaged soon. I thought about how I've been hiding things just to get a divorce, and found it so boring and ridiculous. I got up and walked towards the door. I figured when Su Mengyao got home that night, she would probably take the initiative to bring up divorce. Su Mengyao lifted her head, just in time to see me leaving. A flash of panic crossed her face. She almost got up subconsciously. She didn't expect to run into me at the restaurant. She frowned. Song Yichin noticed Su Mengyao's expression. It seemed she cared a lot about me, the cripple. He felt annoyed, so he sighed, pretending to be innocent. I'm sorry, you're just too charming. I couldn't help myself. That person just now looked like Gu Huai. He probably misunderstood what he saw. I should go apologize to him. Su Mengyao scowled and huffed. Can't he just stay home and reflect on his mistakes? All he knows how to do is get jealous all day. Ignore him. He can think whatever he wants. She sat back down after saying that, but the image of my lonely figure popped into her head. She was really flustered and upset at that moment. She couldn't hear a word Song Yichin was saying next to her. Su Mengyao's expression kept changing. Finally, she sent me a WeChat message. Where are you? Song Yichin, who thought he had everything under control, clearly felt that for the rest of the gathering, Su Mengyao was completely absent-minded, checking her phone from time to time, waiting for my reply. The gathering ended very soon. Su Mengyao took her reluctant daughter with her, turned down Song Yichin's movie invitation, and hurried back home. I just got home and sat on the sofa drinking water. Su Mengyao walked in right after me. Our eyes met. Su Mengyao took a deep breath, bracing herself for my usual drama. But the stalemate lasted for ages, and she didn't get the questioning she expected from me. She found my unusual calm really weird. Su Mengyao's face fell. She'd left in a hurry earlier, and turned down Song Yichin, all because of the tiny bit of guilt she still felt. But now I was putting on this dead cold face, which annoyed her just looking at it. She frowned, pulled a gift box out of her bag, tossed it on the sofa and said, If it weren't for you, Yichin's depression wouldn't have flared up, and I wouldn't have to hang out with him to cheer him up. You didn't even apologize. You even followed us to the restaurant. That's so disgusting, you know that. I didn't look at the gift. My gaze stayed on Su Mengyao's face, wondering when she'd bring up the divorce, so I could pack up and leave as soon as possible. Too bad Su Mengyao acted like she forgot what happened at the restaurant, and turned the tables on me. Putting all the blame on me, I sighed to myself. Seems like ending the marriage as soon as possible isn't gonna happen. I still have to wait 20 more days. Su Mengyao's expression changed slightly. Whenever she lost her temper before, I'd panic right away and compromise unconditionally. Even when she was twisting the facts, I'd just keep apologizing nonstop. I was clearly right in front of her right now, but I felt miles away. She couldn't figure me out at all. Su Mengyao hated that I was out of her control, she said displeasedly. I've told you so many times. Yichin and I are just friends. Why can't you let it go? Wouldn't it be better to spend this time improving yourself? I smiled and nodded. You're right. I really should improve myself. Su Mengyao was stunned. She thought I must be jealous, but was too embarrassed to bring up the restaurant incident. She just flew into a rage instead and swept everything off the table. I just watched quietly and didn't stop her. Su Mengyao gritted her teeth and said, Can you stop making that face? I'm exhausted every time I get home, and I don't need to deal with your attitude on top of that. Think about it. Without me, could you live such a comfortable life? If it weren't for our daughter, I would have kicked you out of the house long ago. A useless loser like you would just starve to death on the street. I listened to Su Mengyao's personal attacks, didn't argue back, and said helplessly, I told you I'm really fine, okay? Su Mengyao was silenced for a second. She was convinced I was pulling a stunt. She'd rushed all the way home to explain. That was already a huge favor to you. Why are you being so difficult? Remember, you owe Yichin an apology. If you don't apologize, you can stay in the storage room forever. Do you know what you look like right now? You look like a sewer rat. Su Mengyao stormed upstairs angrily. Yaya gave me a dirty look, tilted her little head up and said in disgust, You're a bad guy. You made Uncle Song and Mom angry. Why are you still clinging to this house? Hurry up and get a divorce and leave. I want Uncle Song to be my dad. I looked into my daughter's eyes and smiled. Don't worry, Uncle Song will be your dad really soon. Then I walked into the storage room, counting down the days until I can leave. Yaya came to knock on the door later, ordering me to heat up some milk for her. For this ungrateful little brat. I closed my eyes and only said one thing. Go ask your Uncle Song. Yaya got really mad, pounding on the door and yelling insults at the same time. I was already immune to all this by now. I just wanted to leave this family with no affection. No warmth as soon as possible. I looked out at the night sky through the tiny window. My mind was already far away. I started missing my hometown, as if to punish me for being disobedient. Su Mengyao took our daughter and disappeared for the next few days. I didn't even have to guess to know they went to find Song Yichin. She wanted to make me suffer so bad with this trick. She warned me before she left. If I don't kneel down and apologize to Yichin, she'll never come home. I almost said that's double good news. It's better if you don't come back. But I held it back. The divorce cooling off period is almost over. I don't want to stir up extra trouble. I tidied up the whole house. I just lie in the yard sunbathing when I have nothing to do. It's so relaxing and carefree. I got a provocative video from Song Yichin in the middle of the night. It was shot in my house. The three of them were in matching family pajamas having a pillow fight. The two adults were holding Yaya's little head between them. They smiled brightly, looking super happy. Song Yichin has been using these videos to provoke me. He wants me to get lost as soon as possible. I didn't reply. Instead, I ordered a very expensive takeout. Su Mengyao got even angrier when I didn't apologize. She has been staying at Song Yichin's house these days. He even arranged a senior management position for her in the company. She deliberately shows off their romance on WeChat moments and makes all kinds of ambiguous remarks. I just find it ridiculous. Why don't they just officially announce their relationship? Oh, right, they forgot Su Mengyao is not divorced yet. I will fulfill her wish very soon. As the days pass by, I have become completely immune to Su Mengyao's provocations. Even when our daughter caught a cold, Su Mengyao deliberately asked me to deliver medicine. I just ignored her completely. I only said one sentence, "Go see a doctor if you're sick," and then paid her no more attention. Su Mengyao flew into a rage. She yelled a lot of nasty insults before I hung up the phone. Instead of wasting energy on people I don't care about, I'd rather treat myself better. There are 3 days left until the divorce cooling off period ends. I'm really looking forward to it. Su Mengyao and her daughter haven't been home these days. I've been living a very comfortable life. It's the most relaxing period I've had in 7 years. Besides, I've already decided to sell my shares, so I won't struggle to make a living when I return to my hometown. Su Mengyao always belittles my abilities, calling me a useless loser, but she never thinks about who saved the Su family's business when it went bankrupt, who negotiated all those contracts by drinking glass after glass of hard liquor. She also forgot I've always owned 5% of the company's shares. Every year from the dividends, I get a pretty considerable income. I've already decided to sell the shares. I'm currently looking for a suitable buyer. Since I've chosen to leave, I plan to cut off all contact with them completely. I specially ordered a nice bottle of wine tonight. I heard footsteps outside. I thought my takeout had arrived, so I got up to open the door. But when I opened the door, I ran into Su Mengyao and her daughter. Maybe because the divorce is almost here. I find them much less annoying than before, but I still acted lukewarm towards them. Su Mengyao stayed outside for more than 10 days, waiting for me to bow down and apologize. But I'm not the same as I used to be, crying and begging her not to leave. I've completely changed my attitude, and I'm extremely cold now. Even Su Mengyao isn't stupid enough to not notice I've changed. For some unknown reason, a wave of unexplainable panic rose in her heart. The obedient me was annoying to her for sure. She even asked for divorce several times. But the cold me makes her feel uneasy. It's not that Su Mengyao cares about me that much. She just thinks I'm pitiful. Su Mengyao knows very well how much I loved her, that I could never live without her. That's why she dared to hurt me again and again without any scruples. She came back early this time to give me an out, hoping I would stop causing trouble. She thought that bringing our daughter home would make me feel so grateful, that I'd cry and confess my mistakes. But what did she see? The undisguised disappointment on my face. Wasn't I supposed to be waiting for them to come home? Su Mengyao's face darkened. She sneered and said, "You don't seem to welcome us back. Did you keep some other woman here?" I didn't confirm or deny it. I turned around and walked towards the storage room. It was obviously Su Mengyao who cheated, but she treats me like I'm the same as her. I think even saying one more word to her is a waste of time. But there are only 3 days left before I leave. I don't want to argue with her anymore. Su Mengyao looked at my back. Her expression kept changing. That feeling of losing control got stronger and stronger. She had never felt this way since we got married. A panic she never experienced before rushed to her heart, especially when she saw me limping. She recalled that after the Su family went bankrupt, everyone left her. Even her beloved Song Yichin abandoned her. I was the only one who stayed by her side. I stopped caring about Su Mengyao's opinions a long time ago. I stayed in the storage room until evening, thinking that by this time she and her daughter would have gone to look for Song Yichin. So I walked out, only to see cooked meals on the table. I couldn't help but freeze. Su Mengyao was busy in the kitchen and said, "There's one more soup. It'll be ready soon." I stood there frozen, with a complicated look on my face. This is the scene I've dreamed of for many years. I always wanted a warm and loving home. It's just a pity it's too late now. I sat down and stared at the food in front of me, and didn't touch my chopsticks. Su Mengyao acted out of character and asked gently, "What's wrong?" I said calmly, "I'm allergic to seafood." The whole table was full of Song Yichen's favorite seafood feast. Su Mengyao remembered all his preferences, but always ignored me. Su Mengyao's face fell. She wanted to lose her temper, but held it back. Ever since I stopped making a fuss, Su Mengyao felt she could never read me, like quicksand in her palm. I guessed maybe it was her harsh treatment of me lately, or the sympathy from our past hard times together, that stopped Su Mengyao from making things hard for me. She even held back from throwing the food at me. I sighed to myself. That Su Mengyao held her temper. I couldn't help feeling surprised. It even felt a bit weird. For the first time ever, Su Mengyao put food on my plate, saying I'd been wronged lately. I barely recognized her. Next to us, Yaya's eyes went wide. She couldn't believe Mom was being so nice to a nanny. Su Mengyao took 2 movie tickets out of her bag. "It was my favorite movie," she said. "I didn't spend your birthday with you last time. I'll make it up to you this time." I stared at the movie tickets and didn't take them. Is this some late-stage affection? I don't think so. I probably didn't act well enough. So Su Mengyao noticed something was off. It's just her usual trick of a slap followed by a sweet treat. Su Mengyao was just about to speak when footsteps sounded outside. Song Yichen showed up uninvited, carrying a bag of toys. Yaya cheered excitedly and jumped right onto Song Yichen's back and said thanks, Dad, twice. Su Mengyao's face changed slightly and she said quickly, "Yaya, don't call him that." Yaya tilted her head and huffed. "I want Uncle Song to be my dad. I don't like the cripple nanny." Su Mengyao was furious, her face turned ugly. She dragged her daughter to the room to scold her. Song Yichen glanced at me. His eyes landed on the movie tickets. Resentment rose in his chest. He suddenly sneered. "You think you won? Let me show you who Mengyao really cares about the most." I looked at Song Yichen calmly. I could clearly feel his jealousy and shook my head. "You don't have to fight over anything." "I don't care anymore." Song Yichen scoffed. "Sounds nice. If you don't care, why are you still clinging to Mengyao? I bet you just don't want to give up the rich life. Last time I deliberately made her bring seafood congee home and forced you to eat it. How did that feel?" My whole body jolted. I stared at Song Yichen, my heart filled with sadness. Even Song Yichen remembers I'm allergic to seafood. Su Mengyao was stupidly used as a pawn and didn't even know it. How little does Su Mengyao care about me? Before I could say anything, Su Mengyao came out with her daughter and said sternly, "Gu Huai. I've already taught Yaya a lesson. I spoil her too much on normal days. I'll go change my clothes. We'll go to the movies later," Song Yichen said quickly. "Mengyao, I came here to invite you to the movies." Su Mengyao froze, looking awkward. She could faintly sense something was wrong with me, so she wanted to ease our relationship. If she took Song Yichen's side again, I might leave for good, even though Su Mengyao was completely sure that I couldn't bear to leave her. She thought for a second and shook her head. Next time I promised Gu Huai first. Then she went upstairs to change clothes. Song Yichen's face kept changing. He clenched his fists in anger. Su Mengyao used to listen to everything he said, but she didn't agree this time. He sensed a crisis. He glared at me fiercely. "What trick did you use?" I didn't bother fighting with him over her. It's not worth wasting energy on a scumbag. But my silence looked like provocation to Song Yichen. Song Yichen's expression turned crazy. He took a box out of the toy bag, and inside was seafood congee. Before I could react, he rushed at me. He forced the seafood congee down my throat. I fell to the ground and threw up, but the level 5 allergy kicked in super fast. Blisters popped up in my throat right away, and my whole body was covered in red rashes, way worse than last time. I couldn't breathe anymore. I trembled on the ground. Song Yichen grinned viciously. "I'll show you who Mengyao cares about the most." With that, he lay on the ground with a provocative look. Just as Su Mengyao was walking downstairs, Song Yichen let out a miserable scream. Rolling on the ground, Su Mengyao's face changed instantly. When she saw the 2 men lying on the ground, one was me, covered in red rashes all over my body, unable to breathe. The other was her first love, clutching his head and crying hard. She had no idea who to choose. I was already suffocating. The doctor said last time I can't have another allergy soon, otherwise it will be life-threatening. I gritted my teeth and said, "Mengyao, hurry and send me to the hospital, or I will die." Su Mengyao nodded in a hurry, but when she took out her phone, she was interrupted by Song Yichen's cries. "Mengyao, I suddenly feel so painful. I don't want to live anymore. My head is gonna explode. Yaya pointed at me and yelled, Mom, he provoked Uncle Song just now. He got so angry that he had an attack just to test who you care more about. His current look is all fake. Let's send Uncle Song to the hospital right now. Su Mengyao's face changed. She stared at me furiously. You have let me down. I was planning to make it up to you. It seems unnecessary now. With that, she didn't let me explain, and left immediately with Song Yichen. Her gaze at me was full of coldness and anger. But when she looked at Song Yichen the next second, it was full of love and care. I lay on the ground staring blankly at the ceiling, overwhelmed by endless despair. When Yaya twisted the truth for Song Yichen, my world fell into total darkness. Su Mengyao left me at home to die again. I couldn't help mocking myself. Why did I still have hope for her? I used all my strength to crawl to the storage room, took out the medicine the doctor prescribed last time, and took it quickly. The symptoms finally eased, which bought me enough time to save my life. I called the ambulance, couldn't hold on anymore, and passed out. When I woke up, the first person I saw was the same doctor. We stared at each other for a while. I gave a bitter smile. Dr. Wang shrugged. Young people these days are really reckless, joking with their own lives. I didn't argue back, but looked out of the window and closed my eyes slowly. On the day the divorce cooling-off period ended, I was discharged from the hospital. Su Mengyao didn't call me. She was probably taking care of Song Yichen. I went back home. There were still traces left on the floor of Song Yichen trying to kill me. They were already dry, looking like a mocking face. I went to the storage room expressionlessly, picked up the luggage I had prepared long ago, and put the divorce agreement on the table. I rushed to the high-speed railway station as fast as I could, took out the pre-purchased ticket and sat in the waiting hall. Just then the phone rang. Su Mengyao called and yelled angrily, Gu Huai, you are so vicious! You made Song Yichen's depression act up. You not only refused to come and apologize, but also hide away. Let me tell you, if you don't come over and kneel to apologize, I will divorce you. I laughed and said, As you wish. The broadcast was playing nearby. Where are you? Su Mengyao's tone changed drastically, with a hint of panic in her voice. I hung up the phone without hesitation, took out the SIM card and threw it into the trash can. Then I carried my luggage and walked to the ticket check lane. After getting off the train, I couldn't wait to take a taxi back to my old house. My home is in a small coastal town. My parents passed away when I was young. Leaving this old house overgrown with weeds, I hired a construction team to renovate the house. I planted some flowers and plants in my free time. It took me a whole month to finally make the house warm and cozy. Though the house is not as luxurious as our previous villa, it is a home that completely belongs to me. I don't have to get up at 5 a.m. every day to make nutritious breakfast for Su Mengyao and her daughter. Nor do I have to cook hangover soup for Su Mengyao at midnight. I don't get punished to live in the storage just because I added lard when cooking. Even better, I don't have to cook a full table of dishes, only for the daughter to dump them on my head if she doesn't like them. I lay on the warm and soft bed, looking out of the window at the sea view. A few seagulls were flying in the sky. The air was filled with the smell of freedom everywhere. I never thought that I would one day live a life facing the sea, with blooming spring flowers, happy and peaceful, living in this old house. I don't feel like doing anything at all. I slept round the clock, totally knocked out, to make up for all the sleep I missed before. When I wake up, I just lounge in the yard drinking tea, staring at the sky and zoning out. I spent half a month living this laid-back, carefree life. I looked at myself in the mirror. My cheeks were rosy, and I looked completely energized. Life without Su Mengyao is truly amazing. I spent another half a month adjusting my state. I get up early in the morning to work out and do 2 rounds of Tai Chi. I read all kinds of design magazines. I majored in design back in college. I turned down an offer from a well-known design firm for Su Mengyao. Later, I became disabled and stayed at home, so I restudied design. My works gradually gained a bit of fame. When I signed the divorce agreement, I already had a backup plan. Go back to my hometown and do what I love. For the first month, I had nightmares every day at the beginning. I dreamed I went into anaphylactic shock, lying on the ground waiting to die. That suffocating feeling was like a big hand squeezing my throat. I was surrounded by the dark of despair. Then I slowly got used to the rhythm of life here. Su Mengyao and her daughter popped up in my dreams less and less, until last night. Their memory in my mind had become really blurry. It took me a whole month to heal from the trauma and get back to a normal life. Inspired by the feeling of escaping a cage and getting reborn, I created a work named The Ocean. It gained great popularity right after I published it. I turned down interview requests from all major media. I just want to create in peace. as more and more people loved this work. I could no longer keep a low profile. I gained hundreds of thousands of followers on Weibo. Working as a designer brings me quite a decent income, plus my previous savings. It's more than enough for me to live a carefree life. One client in particular really appreciates my design style. He hopes we can meet and talk in person. I didn't agree, even over the phone. His voice sounds really pleasant and full of sincerity. He expressed his appreciation several times and doesn't come off as a pure businessman. He didn't get mad at my refusal and said he understood, saying we can meet later when the time is right. One day I went for a walk by the sea as usual and got a call from the police station. Is this Gu Huai speaking? We found your child? When I saw the little girl at the police station, I froze for a long time, until I saw those clear, expectant eyes. I finally remembered who she was. I couldn't help but smile bitterly. After Song Yichen returned to China, Su Mengyao focused all her attention on him. She often took her daughter to see him. Yaya was brainwashed by them and became extremely hostile towards me. She wouldn't listen to any of my arrangements anymore. Once we ran into a little flower girl on the street. Yaya directly snatched her flowers. After I scolded her for that, she got angry and ran straight to the middle of the road. I tried my best to protect my daughter. Yaya only got a little scratch, but I lost the use of one leg for it. When I was in hospital, Su Mengyao took my daughter to travel around with her first love, leaving me alone in the cold ward to fend for myself. Yaya even cursed me, asking why I didn't just die, so she could have a new dad. The only people who came to visit me were the little flower girl and her mom. After chatting with them, I learned the little girl had a really miserable life. Her mom was a single parent, with late-stage cancer. They spent all their savings on treatment, so they had to sell flowers around the hospital to survive. The little girl's name is An. She has never met her dad in her whole life. When she saw me risk my life to save my daughter, she was deeply touched and asked if all dads in the world love their children. I saw her mom's pleading look and nodded. Annan smiled and said innocently, Mom says Dad went to heaven. It's a really faraway place. It's not that he doesn't love me. He's just too busy. Since then, the little girl often came to visit me in hospital. I was at the most desperate point of my life and was warmed by the little girl's kindness. So we gradually got familiar with each other. Every time I saw Annan's stubborn and expectant eyes, my heart ached so much for her. Compared to Yaya at home, she was so sensible it broke my heart. After I got discharged, I planned to look for Annan around the hospital to help her, but I got bad news. Her mom had died in their rental apartment. Annan was nowhere to be found. I was busy fighting with Su Mengyao back then. I couldn't find her after searching, so the matter was dropped. When Annan saw me, she rushed up, hugged me, and cried, Daddy. I stroked Annan's little head, my eyes turning red with tears. Didn't deny it. Took her back home. After asking her about what happened, it turned out after Annan's mom passed away, she was tricked and taken away by strangers who wanted to sell her to Southeast Asia. Luckily, the criminal gang had an internal fight, so she seized the chance to run away. She found the police and said her dad is Gu Huai. The criminal's hideout happened to be in a coastal town. Fate is just that amazingly coincidental. I looked at the skinny little Annan and almost saw a reflection of myself. Two people, one old, one young, both lost their families and were messed around by fate. It felt like there was a voice somewhere unseen, guiding the two of us to meet each other. I secretly made the decision to adopt Annan, but when I went to handle the adoption paperwork, I realized things were not that simple. Since I am single, I am not qualified to adopt a girl, unless I get married first. If I can't solve this problem, Annan might get adopted by other people. This gave me a really bad headache. I got home and saw Annan's expectant eyes. I couldn't bear to tell her the truth. Annan is very well behaved, and also very hardworking. She knows how to do a lot of housework at her young age. If there's a drop of water on the floor, she will quickly wipe it off with a rag. When I finish cooking the meal, she knows to set up the stools properly. I took Annan for a walk by the seaside, watching her running ahead of me, looking back from time to ask me to keep up. Golden sunset glow hung across the horizon. It felt like I was in a dream. I've imagined countless sweet scenes of being with a kid, which I never got to have with Yaya, and it finally came true with Annan. We sat on the beach, staring at the sun sinking in the west. Time stood still at this moment. Annan turned her head, blinked her bright eyes, and asked, Can I call you Dad? My nose tingled with the urge to cry, and I nodded gently. Annan asked again, Then will you go to a very faraway place called heaven? I stroked Annan's little head and shook my head. Annan breathed a sigh of relief and hugged my arm tightly, rubbing her little head against me and said, Daddy, I responded to her, as tears streamed down my face. I lost my wife and my daughter. God finally had mercy on me and sent a daughter to me